morning. Well, I've got myself sorted. It is 9:25 and I'm just on my way down to Marazion because we're starting a new series for the channel, which hopefully you'll enjoy. It's called Why I Love My Bike. Okay, fantastic. Good morning. We're off. Looks like it's going to be a bit nadgery. Oh, check this out. Man, look at that. Obviously, there's lots of channels out there doing reviews. We wanted to do something a bit different because I personally don't believe you can really get to know a bike in a half hour, 1 hour, even a day-long test ride, really. So this morning I'm meeting my friend Matt and we will be looking at his bike with him and he will be telling you what it's like to actually live with.
Yes, I don't think we'll get anything in first take.
When doing one take. Lovely. Okay, well, Matt, thanks very much for coming and joining me today and showing me your bike. Can you tell me a little bit about it, when you got it, how long you've had it and how much it cost and stuff like that?
Yeah, so I bought it on a bit of a whim. It dates back just before Christmas. My friend Billy was on holiday in Spain and he went and hired an Africa Twin for a couple of days, and he started showing off with his photos on these amazing roads and beautiful azure blue and all that, and I thought, yeah, I'll have one of those. And so I went onto the Honda website and very quickly realised I won't have one of those because they are quite expensive. And as I was just sort of going back out of the website, I saw this, and it was a quid under £8,000, brand new, 0 miles, unregistered. So I thought, yeah, do you know what? My family can afford to not have Christmas this year, and so I bought it. I phoned them up. I paid over the phone, and then when I put the phone down, I thought, well, I should actually probably go online and have a look to see if they're any good. I'd never sat on one. I'd never paid too much attention to one up close in the flesh either. But I love the 80s styling, and that was enough for me. It's got a proper engine. Yeah, it's not a Mickey Mouse machine.
And they are pretty legendary bikes. I mean, yeah, you know, they've been around forever in various forms, and they're Hondas.
And exactly that. You know, it's made by Honda. It can't be bad. There'll be plenty of Honda bikes people don't like. You know, subjective, but actually, it won't be a bad.
So how long was it between you buying it and the bike being delivered?
I think I had it within a couple of weeks. So they had to do obviously their little bit of prep and stuff and give it the once over before they could let it go, and then the delivery. So yeah, it was all done in a couple of weeks, which unfortunately was just before Christmas. So the weather was miserable, so I didn't put it out of rain mode for lack of confidence, nothing more, for quite a while. But I've never had new tyres before, so that was a bit of a. I was nervous about it.
Yeah.
And the weather was crap.
The weather was crap. I mean, the poor thing must have had a bit of a baptism of fire, because if you got it just before Christmas, I think this is about the first sunny weather we've had since then, isn't it?
Pretty much, yeah. It's seen a bit of sun, but not much. But it's fine. Actually, stay quite dry on it, which is unusual.
Excellent.
Given it's not a lot of protection on there.
No, but actually, you know, if they design the fairings right and so on, which they actually have, they scoot the rain round you, don't they?
Yeah. Yeah.
Excellent. So how many miles have you done on it now?
Oh, I don't know. It's got to be up around 1,500 now.
Right, okay.
So I'd done the 600 run in. I overdid that by 100 miles. And I did that in quite short order. So I'd probably done that within a couple of weeks of getting the bike. And then it was just trying to find a day when Honda could fit it in when it wasn't going to be raining. I don't like being out in the rain. So eventually we got it in, and everything was fine.
Brilliant.
That was in the pouring rain. Possibly the heaviest rain I've experienced for quite some time.
Excellent. So what have you added to the bike since you got it? And is there anything that you wouldn't have added that you have and that you wish you'd added that you haven't yet?
Oh, okay, I think that's a good question. So I've added quite a few things. I kind of did it myself rather than getting Honda to do it. So they offered me everything that's on the bike. They offered me, but obviously at that premium and their fitting and everything else. So the only thing Honda put on for me was the heated grips, and actually really glad that I made that choice, because only when I got the bike delivered, I realised that it's controlled through the computer, not on its own button. So
right.
Being a Luddite, I would have been stuffed with that. So that was a rare smart decision that I've made in life, was doing that. Other than that, I put the exhaust can on. It's a Black Widow exhaust.
Right.
It's only an N can. The stock exhaust I found a bit quiet and a bit not quite hairdryery, but something approaching that. So I put that on. It's released some growl, which is great. I put the Barkbusters hand guards on.
Right.
And I've noticed that in my hands straight away. I don't get cold hands now.
Yeah.
So just that little bit of wind deflection has made a huge difference. I put the crash guards and the sump guard on. On the standard bike, everything at the bottom at the front is really, really exposed, and I didn't like the sort of vulnerability of it. So that was a must. So I started looking at that straight away. Honda charges 470 quid nearly for just the bash plate, not with the lower bars. And I managed to get that together with the exhaust and the Barkbusters handguards for about 300 quid from a guy on eBay.
Right.
Which is probably 600 quid
Yeah.
less than I would have had to pay. I think final thing that I put on it was a centre stand.
Right.
As you know, I've got an original Goldwing,
Yes.
which is shaft drive, and then my VFR chain drive, and I know from that any kind of chain maintenance would be nauseatingly tough work,
Yeah.
single-handed, without a centre stand. So I put a genuine Honda centre stand on.
Brilliant.
Quite a few people were saying that with the aftermarket ones, the leverage wasn't very good.
Okay.
So I think the aftermarket ones, people said that they were a bit more difficult to get up onto the centre stand.
Right.
But it's not a heavy bike either way, so it's fine. But it is very tall.
Yes.
It's a bit of a struggle for me to get over it.
Okay. Right. Excellent.
First thing that I like is that engine. It's 750. It's a parallel twin now. The Transalp was traditionally a V-twin.
Yeah.
Quite a few people I've spoken to over the years have said that the original V-twin engine was one of the most reliable motorcycle engines ever made. And I've seen a couple of the older ones, like the XL600s, with well over 100,000 miles on them, which is pretty impressive, because the 600 tends to have a hard life. So the engine's great. It sounds great. It's got plenty of power. I don't think it's 100 horsepower, but I've never felt like it needs more power.
Right.
With that in that riding position, it's quite tall. It's you're not going to put your knee down on this bike.
No.
It's plenty. It really is plenty, and it's got a nice power range, and it's good into digits. It's a bit buffety, but apart from that, it's quite nice.
Allegedly,
I think it's easier. It actually is easier to start with things that I don't like.
Okay.
Because there's so few of them. There's so few things that I don't like about it, and more importantly, it's much easier to identify the things that you don't like.
Yeah.
Because you kind of log them and you notice them, whereas the things that you like, you expect it to like anyway. So I've got no real faults with this bike. There's nothing about it that would make me tell somebody to think twice about getting one if they were thinking about getting one, especially not at the price point that they're at. So the headlight it's not inadequate, but it's not great. The beam is brilliant and flat, and it highlights the road ahead and kicks up nicely. But when you turn in, the beam goes and you lose the corner. So it's not suitable really for riding roads that you're really unfamiliar with. I think, especially with the state of the roads now, you could easily find yourself in a wheel breaking pothole that you just couldn't possibly have seen because you just can't see the road well enough. So that's my only kind of safety comment. It is a great bike. I've loved every minute of it. At no point have I felt that it's dull or doesn't live up to any expectations or anything like that. The engine's great. 750 parallel twin, which is the same engine as in the 750 Hornet.
Right.
I've heard people say that they didn't really like that engine in that bike, but I don't hear the same thing for this. So I think maybe people expected it to be a bit more powerful and a bit more go in the Hornet perhaps than this. But
different bike, and it's probably got a different state of tune in it, hasn't it? Because this being a touring bike rather than something that's designed to be a bit faster, maybe. I
mean, as I said before, it's under 100 horsepower, but actually at no point do I feel like it's lacking power. It's always, you just roll it on and you go. The suspension, I quite like the suspension. It's an area that a lot of people have criticised the bike on. Excessive nosedive under braking and things like that, and they say it's a bit soft and wallowy, which it is soft, but that's why it's comfortable.
It goes with the style of the bike.
It's comfortable, and that's why I like it. I like the soft suspension. It suits the bike, it suits what I use it for. I think it probably suits what most people use it for. Other things that I love the way it looks. I've got to be honest. I wouldn't have had it in any other colour scheme.
No, it does look great in this scheme, doesn't it?
The colour schemes, I think they look nice, but not for me. I just love the 80s look to it. This is about as close as you can get to an 80s bike, even down to the blue seat, which the old ones usually came with a blue seat. Things that it should have that it doesn't have. Tank range, so fuel range. It doesn't display fuel range. I've got a fuel gauge, which we've said
is
before
good.
Is nice. It's not just nice to have; it's kind of critical these days. So that's nice. It tells me my fuel consumption in litres, in miles per litre, which isn't very helpful to us in Britain. Obviously dealing with MPG, but it's something. And I'm just crap at maths, so I can't do the maths to work out all the rest of the numbers, but a range it should have. It's got the data to give me the range, but it doesn't do that. I suspect if we looked at the Africa Twin, it probably does give you a range. Just like the Africa Twin gives heated grips, I think, as standard, and cruise control. This bike desperately needs cruise control. For me, modern first world problem, modern bike problem. I think it really does need it for the type of riding that people are going to do with this.
Absolutely. I mean, at the end of the day, it's a touring bike, and
it is a touring.
If you've got a touring bike, you're going to be needing cruise control is going to make life easier for you.
Yeah, absolutely. And I do miss not having it. So that's something. And the heated grips are great. They're controlled through the computer, as I said before. So kind of glad that I didn't try and cheat that.
Yes.
Because I wouldn't have heated grips. I'd have heated grips, but they'd be in a box in the garage. For sure.
Yeah. Excellent.
I think that was it.
I think you mentioned the seat.
The
earlier
seat. I find the seat perfectly comfortable. From what I've read, as I said earlier, I didn't read any reviews about this bike. I never even sat on one when I actually paid my money for it. So one of the things that kept cropping up in the critiques of the bike was that it wasn't comfortable. To be fair, you are sitting upright, and that's probably for a lot of people quite a lot of weight on the seat, but it doesn't bother me. I'm never on this for more than 40 to 45 minutes at a time. It's not an issue. You can buy a comfort seat for this from Honda. I don't know how much it is because I felt like I didn't need it. It gives maybe an extra inch, so if you're already on tiptoes on the bike, that might lose you some confidence when you're at low speed car parks, but it's perfectly comfortable. I haven't had anyone on the back yet, but I can sit here and still ride the bike, so long arms, long legs.
Excellent. Okay. So that's brilliant. Thanks for bringing it along and showing it to us. Should we take it out for a spin?
Yeah, let's do that.
Excellent.